我想请问安娜律师的是啊，当宠物狗咬伤他人的时候，作为狗主人到底应该如何应对呢？When a dog bites someone, how should the owner respond? What consequences might the dog face?
The consequences can range from severe restrictions on the dog to the separation from the owner to potential euthanasia in the worst case scenarios. So usually the first steps in the actions when a dog bites someone and the case goes to the animal control for adjudication, a lot of times if it's the very first instance, the animal control will take notice and the animal control will place conditions on the owner keeping the dog. For example, that the dog must be in the enclosure, unable to escape that enclosure, or the dog must be on the leash, or the dog must be trained. Let's say if the incident was really severe, the animal control might require that the owner puts a dog through additional training. Sometimes they want to see the dog muzzled, again, depending on the breed of the dog and the size of the dog and the severity of the incident. And so if the owner is able to comply with those restrictions and keep the dog from being aggressive, from being perceived as dangerous by people around, from attacking other animals, in that case, a lot of times this is the resolution of the case. However, if the other people around feel that the dog continues to be dangerous, or if the dog injures someone, which is the worst case scenario, what usually happens is the dog gets confiscated, at least temporarily. And so the dog is separated and the case is being adjudicated. And that can last from maybe a couple of weeks to several months, depending on how hard you have to fight. And then ultimately there's going to be either some kind of resolution of the case, and hopefully it is not the euthanasia, which unfortunately is something that does happen if the case is not handled properly.
好，非常感谢安娜律师的介绍啊。我想请问安娜律师的第二个问题呢，就是在事件处理当中啊，应该从一开始采取哪些措施，才能够避免狗被认定为危险动物，或者说面临安乐死的可能呢？What steps can be taken early to prevent a dog from being classified as dangerous or facing the possibility of being euthanized?
So I think it's a very good question because I think the steps include not just legal, but also practical ones. And the practical steps, I would say, they center around the prevention of the dog acting dangerously, acting aggressively. Usually the best prevention is making sure the dog is calm and stable and knowing the dog's history. Because, you know, today a lot of people are encouraged to adopt dogs from shelters, adopt dogs from other people, don't buy, adopt. And that's a great thing, but you never know what kind of baggage the dog is coming with, what kind of baggage the dog is bringing with them, and what kind of stress the dog is enduring in all of these transitions. So while it's a very noble endeavor to adopt a dog, one also has to be careful to make sure that the dog is actually safe for people around them. So one step is knowing the dog history, trying to keep the dog calm. Another step that you can take is to be situationally aware at all times, you as the dog owner. Situationally aware means paying attention to your surroundings and preventing situations where the dog could react aggressively. So if you know the dog is somewhat reactive and you see somebody coming by on a bike, maybe take the dog to the other side of the path, for example, right? Don't be on the phone, watch what's going on. Also watch the dog, watch how the dog, if the dog starts to get agitated as another dog is approaching, well, maybe turn around and take a circle, right? And don't take the chances of the dog lashing out. So there's this situational awareness. I also saw several cases in my legal practice where what happened is the owner was doing everything correctly, but the leash or the collar malfunctioned. Occasionally, unfortunately, it happens. And so it's a good idea to inspect the leash and the collar once in a while, especially if it's been like a few years that these things have been used. There is some wear and tear. Inspect it, take a look, make sure it's still working, or even replace it altogether.